Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Mindset Cushion podcast with your host Sheyaf Hashim and Kareem Mustafa. Hey Kareem, what's up, bro? How's it going?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Chef? How's everything going?
All good, all good. So we are back, I think, with a new episode today. And we will jump right into today's topic. And today's topic, I think in past few of the episodes, we've been actually dropping some hints because it kept coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So Kareem, what are we talking about today? I think we are going to be discussing the topic around a book, right? Something that you've been reading and I've also read. And I think it was recommended by the same person to both of us, actually. So what are we talking about?
So we're talking about one of our favorite, most recent, but also like favorite books that we've been reading so far, called Surrounded by Idiots, which is based on the 4 personality types. If you guys may have heard of there's so many different personality tests and theories out there, but we're going to be talking about something called the DISC profile, and Chef's going to break it down for us.
Okay, so I think like Kareem was saying, we're going to be discussing about the whole idea came about from the book Surrounded by Idiots, and the name honestly got me really attracted towards the book. But like the name suggests, the whole idea, the whole concept of the book is how each of this personality type, like Kareem said. So in this book, they use this framework where they separate the personalities into 4 types, where each of the type actually thinks that they are surrounded by idiots. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
So everybody. So until I read this book, right? See, I want to come clean. Yeah. I used to actually think this, sometimes I am actually surrounded by idiots where they don't get what I'm actually saying, or they don't have the capacity to actually think or comprehend what I'm actually saying. So, so what happened after reading this book and understanding this concept, and I think it took me a lot of time to actually finish this book because I kept going back and I kept implementing these things in the past 2 months while I finished reading this book. I read something, I used to implement it. I read something, then I used to implement. And I can see how things have drastically improved for me, especially at work. So before we get into the personality types, but Kareem, what about you, bro? After you started reading this book, has it had some impact on you, on your day-to-day life?
100%, man. Like it's definitely a book that we can wholeheartedly recommend, just because you feel like you were not able to see, and then you put on like a pair of glasses and you could now see everything in perspective, and one of the side effects, which I don't think is a bad thing, but like as you go about like meeting people, you start to become very, very good at identifying which one of the 4 personality types they are. And you don't even need to talk to them. You don't need to say, is that who you are? No, you will have enough knowledge to be able to assess that person anyway. And then based on that, you'll be able to determine, if you're trying to get them from A to Z, if you're trying to influence them in a certain way, in a positive way, how to actually position that message. Because, and we're going to talk about all this in detail, but like sometimes, I would just assume that everyone thinks like me. So all I need to do is come up with a case that is logical to me. And I would just expect that everyone else around me would see that it's something that makes sense because it made sense to me originally. When in fact, of course, what makes this book so interesting, is that people actually they don't listen to anything that you say unless you say it. It's like a puzzle. Like most of it will be like bypassed or ignored unless you say something that fits with their brain structure or the way that they think, basically.
I think this was one of the chapters which really, one of the titles of the chapters. And even in my phone, in my notepad, I still have this one name of this chapter, which actually says exactly connecting to what Kareem is saying is communication happens on the listener's terms.
Yes, that's chapter 1, I think, or chapter 2, something.
Yeah. So just breaking it down, like what Kareem is saying, see, before you even get, I think defining the characters and the profiles
the 4
is
types,
going to be, it's something that we'll touch upon today, but you guys can also read about it. But how it actually helped me was all this while, like Kareem just said, I used to prepare, like, I believe I'm very good, like in my head, I think I'm very good at communication because I can speak very well. I am very eloquent. This is what I think I am. Yeah. And because the way I think about facts, I think about, XYZ, I think about the task, and I feel, so it makes complete sense to me in my head. Now, what happens is I try and explain this to the person. It could be a friend, it could be a colleague, it could be anybody, yeah? And, after this whole discussion, after a week or after 3 days, from the reaction or the outcome, I just get this feeling that this person has not even understood like 10% of what I told them.
Yeah.
And
even though it was very clear in your mind. Yeah.
Yes. And immediately the conclusion is what? This person is an idiot. Like, sorry, but like I said, I'm coming clean. I would think like, this person is not able, because this person is
not able to understand what I'm saying, even though I said it so clearly to them. Exactly.
Yeah. And okay, not so harsh as an idiot, but maybe, this person is maybe not smart enough. Or maybe
or they're not listening. They're not paying attention.
Yeah, they're not paying attention. Anything, yeah. So, but what happened is through this book, through this concept, I realized that you can still get this person to do what you want them to do or convey the same message if you just slightly tweak your way of communication, basically how you deliver the same information and how you handle this person, for example. Yeah. So this was very, very life-changing for me, because for me, I think it kind of solved like 40 or I would say 50 to 60% of the issues that I was having around me with conflicts with people, specifically conflicts that I was having with people. See, I've like Kareem was saying, there are different tools out there, to assess personalities. Yeah. Like one of the most famous ones is like, say, MBTI, Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. It has personalities split into 16 types. Now, this is a lot of companies use this to assess the people they are going to hire. But this particular type, okay, the way they have actually used this in modern day workplaces, they call it the DISC personality. Yeah. This, what it actually does is it actually brings a very clear picture of a person's core, like, how they like to be treated and how they treat people. Like, for example, how they look, how's the outlook in life in general. Yeah.
So it's very holistic. And I mean, even in my old company, I remember they gave everybody a day off and they said, today guys, we're going to have a workshop. And this was like a full day thing. And they hired like expensive company to do it. Like, companies take it very seriously, which shows that it's something that is pretty accurate, even though there's a lot of different types over there and there's different overlapping. Like Sheyaf and I are not like experts on different types of personality tests, but we know enough that this is, if you learn one, and again, you don't have to be a psychologist or something like that. Like, this is just great, even for dealing with your family, dealing with your colleagues, dealing with, different like social groups that you're a part of, things like that. It's just great. Like, honestly, man, I think it's such a shame that they don't teach something like that in school. They teach geography and history of things that are not even relevant anymore to your particular case, and they prioritize that over like what you do every single day, which is dealing with people effectively.
Kareem, you just told before the show, like, we'll try to keep the show like the episode short, and you put something like, you put a topic like this, bro, just imagine. Okay, I don't want to dwell on this, but just imagine they taught this to us in school, bro, in 5th grade or in 10th grade. I would be a better human being. No, seriously, I would be.
Yeah, man. Everything will be much more peaceful, much more productive. Man, we have to do an episode on this. The list of topics that they should teach in school.
So quick. I just want to quickly jump in now. So, like Kareem said, this in the workplace and professionally, they use the same concept as like the framework. They call it as DISC. Okay, but today we'll not focus on the professional framework. We will dwell into the book. Okay, for example, in book, this guy, who's been working on this concept, he's simplified it very easily as 4 colors. Okay, there is a red, there is a yellow, there is a green, and there is a blue. Okay, and he split these 4 types into 2 different areas. Okay, one is an extrovert, the type of people who are extroverts, and the people who are introverts. Okay. And there is another side which says you are task oriented, and you're people oriented. So 2 of the colors, they are extroverts, and 2 of the colors, they are introverts. But at the same time, 2 of the colors, they are task oriented, and 2 of the colors, they are people oriented. So, so I think the first and foremost color, Kareem, which do we start with? We start with the red, right?
I'm trying to find the red object. Hold on.
Okay.
We start with the red, and
there is a red behind me here. Yeah.
Nice.
So,
I just grabbed something as well.
Okay.
What's it called? By the way, for people who don't know, like, we're actually recording these audio only, so we get to see each other's videos only in post-production.
Yeah, we don't. Me and Kareem don't see each other.
This is a fun fact about the show if you've been following us so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically so I'm gonna explain like what red is. And by the way, like the 4 colors that Sheyaf was just talking about, they correspond directly to D, I, S, and C, the disc, right? So red would basically be
dominant
for dominant, and it's pretty much people who are very direct, people who are not afraid to say what they think, and people who naturally could be perceived as impatient when in fact they're just looking to really get something done. And they're also very competitive people. You can already start if you're listening to this now, you can probably already start to think of some people who are like that, competitive in the big things and even in the smallest things. Like if 2 people are walking on the street and one person is ahead of you, they just want to speed up a little bit just so that they're a little bit walking a little bit faster than them, like stupid stuff like that. But for them, it's about this hunger for competition, this hunger for getting things done, and they almost don't care. They don't necessarily care if they get the credit or not. They just want to see things get done. They want to feel productive, and that's why some people can resonate with that, but some other people say, why you're so pushy, or why are you so out there? But that's the first one. Sheyaf, you want to take the next one?
Before I take the next one, I would also say usually, easiest way to spot a red is usually a dominant person is in your group of friends at your workplace. The guys, like Kareem said, who go very fast. And while they're on the way to reach their destination, they will upset a lot of people. They are perceived to be extremely not very sensitive. They will tell you, and usually if you want honest advice or feedback,
they will give it to you.
These are prepare yourself to actually be destroyed. Okay. But if you want honest feedback, these are the only guys out there who will actually give you honest feedback. And generally, if you want to get through to these guys, like Kareem said, these guys are so direct, they don't have time for small talk. Generally, they will not have time for small talk. So if you want something from them, be super direct. Don't be don't dwell. They don't like stories. They don't like beating around the bush. And generally, these are people at workplaces you find because, see, not all Reds are leaders, but because of this thing of they're so result oriented, you might find these people usually. Most of the leaders or managers that you will actually find at workplaces or naturally people who are leading, you will actually see Reds. Not necessarily they are the best leaders, but you will find them a lot because of their nature of, one, they like challenges because they're competitive. Second, these guys are the people who usually get stuff done. Yeah.
100%.
So this is
and like Sheyaf was saying as well, they could be in leadership or they could not be, but when they are in leadership, they're very effective. But having said that, Sheyaf, am I right in saying, of course, there's all the different colors for leaders, which could actually be problematic because someone should not be a leader.
Yes.
But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So, and usually these are the guys, once you read the book, you'll understand they are extremely, sometimes they are misunderstood for being, like Kareem said, they don't care about what people think. They just want the stuff to be done. So they usually come across as people, who might have an alternative motive. Okay, but these
or that
guys
they're
just
mean or they don't care, and sometimes they genuinely do care, but for them the priority is to just get something done. It doesn't mean that they don't like people. It just means that I like you, you're fine, but can we please get this done? Because that's the main thing right now.
Yes, and usually, like Kareem said, these guys are usually restless. Patient,
restless.
Have very restless and very less patient. Let's jump right to the next color. Yeah. So this is red. I think towards the end, I can also we can give a summary of how these colors are when you put them together. So the second color I will take I'll take a go at is yellow. So yellows are usually the other side of the coin of reds. Okay, these are people who also, like reds, have very high energy levels. They are extremely active. These are usually the superbly positive people. Yeah, they are
The
all
idea
for them.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So for them, the sun is always shining somewhere. So these are usually the guys who are super positive, and this is one. Second thing, the easiest way to spot a yellow is in your circle of friends, or if you go to a party, if you go to a meeting. These are usually the guys who you will see are, they are people, like they like to be around people. They love the attention. They'll always do things so that, people are, around them. These are the guys who will actually crack those, so many of these jokes. I'm not talking about people who you know for years and comfortable with. These are the guys you might see them for the first time. They will try to get, they become very personal with you. They will try
They're like
to,
an entertainer.
yeah, they entertainer because see, for example, the motivation of the red is to get things done. At the same time, yellow usually they really care about what people think about them, and these are the people usually when it comes to anybody they meet, they think he's a pal or he's my friend. And this is one thing. And another thing, usually these people have something what psychologists call, all of us have, selective memory. These are the people in your group, if there is somebody who can never keep to time, who always gets late, there you go. And most of the time, like we said, beginning of this episode, this is not to, put people down, but if you see somebody who's always late, and these people, they don't intend to be late. It's just that they are superbly optimistic about life. They think, oh, it's just 30 minutes, I'll be there. Before you know it, they are 1 hour late. So and similarly, like Kareem was saying, these are people who are the best to actually get an idea started. They are extremely creative when it comes to thinking out of the box. They can come up with really good ideas. They are really good networkers. If you want to polish relationships, these are the guys. But the weaknesses is usually they cannot keep to commitments. They cannot complete what they've actually started, and
they don't have the ability to follow up as much as a red does.
Yeah,
because
like
they're there for the good time. They're there to get the idea started, brainstorming, even putting like a good plans, amazing planners, great plan. But when it comes to execution, it could come across as a little bit boring for them, especially when something doesn't work. Following up the routine stuff, that's not what they're made for.
And also think about, again, if it takes rings a bell, these are people in your group, like they always have stories, a lot of stories where, it sometimes never ends. And you're like, we started about, a monkey climbing a tree, and now we are talking about a rock, like a spaceship going to Mars. Like, this is usually they're storytellers as well, and sometimes not really good ones, but they still.
And sometimes you just have to like cut them off because you're like, okay, hold on now, which story are we in now?
Yeah. So this is the yellow. Right. So yellow and red, they are extroverts, but red is results oriented, and yellow is relationship oriented. Kareem, let's jump to green. I'll let you take the green. Yeah.
Okay, so for green, this is basically, so according to the book and the research from the book, the majority of people are green. The easiest way to think of it, especially after we talk about blue as well, is that green is like a cocktail. It's a mix of everything, but they also have their own special features. So green are people that just love to maintain the status quo. They hate change. They hate doing something that's different. Sometimes when they feel the urge to do something different, they wait and hope that this feeling goes away. I'm not joking. Like this is actually a thing, because for them it's, like why do we even need to change something that seems to be working? And in addition to that, they are also they're as far as possible, they're the absolute opposite of someone who's a red, but they have some similarities with the yellow in the sense that they're also Sheyaf, I think it's that they are relationship oriented, right?
Very relationship oriented.
Yeah. So they also so part of taking care of the status quo is making sure everyone feels good, making sure if you have an opinion about something, you're not going to say it because maybe it's going to hurt somebody's feeling, and your goal as a green is to really maintain peace in the hood, right? And so you may not decide to say that, and so as a result, sometimes they could be perceived as people who are hiding something, when in fact, you know, they're just trying to agree with whatever's going on, because look, they don't want to rock the boat, because they care about the making sure everything stays the same. They are not necessarily the most like leadership or go-getters or ambitious people, but they're very, very loyal. If they are part of a team and someone gives them instruction, they will make it their life's mission to do that, because again, this is how you keep the status quo. So if someone tells me something, I'm gonna go do that because that's what I need to do, and they will live and die by that. But they cannot do that for themselves. They have to get that direction from somebody else.
And usually like Kareem said, greens are the biggest, like the most majority. We all know greens. In many cases, some of us are greens or have very strong green in our personalities. So like Kareem said, these guys, and generally people who have the most difficult time to change are greens. Not just at workplaces. Like if you have somebody you know who knows what the problem is, and they've seen, but over and over they see what the problem is, but they don't want to change. Because now there is very brutal way of putting it as well in the book. Like the author speaks about it in all different ways. So he says these are usually the people, for example, status quo is like a overall term. Like these are people who don't want to like move from where they're actually sitting. This is figuratively. And they're like, why should I move from here? I'm comfortable here. And maybe the ground like under the chair is actually slowly crumbling. But thinking of, that, it's something that will happen in time. And usually these are people who will actually see something coming, but still they'll not move. And secondly, also we did an episode about conflict avoidance. So reds, yellows, they take conflict head on. Okay. When it comes to greens, right, these people avoid conflict at all costs. These are the most, at all costs. Like they will never come, like even if they see, this is the only thing they will actively avoid, is if they see a conflict brewing up, they will be like chill ice. And one of the benefits, like Kareem said, these are the guys, like if you have greens in your team or in your group, these are people who are extremely emotional and very good. Like they're extremely loyal. They're good friends. They're good,
great friends.
Great friends actually. But unless you give them exactly a step by step of what to do, they will not be actually doing it. And usually, like if a red or a yellow has a problem, they will red will be the first one to jump, yellow second, but the green will actually keep it bottled up. And these are usually the people who take a lot of stress. So greens,
100%.
And usually, in conflict avoidance, we had discussed this concept where you're speaking to somebody and somebody just lets out a tsunami of emotions and feelings they had, and you are like, wow, man,
where did all this come from?
And they will take reference from 3 years back. Remember in 1992, that day, for example, when we were playing soccer and you had pushed me, and you'd be like, wow, it's 2022.
When was that? Yeah, I didn't even know that bothered you, and it was like
so
ages ago. Yeah, exactly.
So these are the people. So generally with greens, you have to be very gentle with greens. Yeah, like if you're dealing with them, you have to be very gentle. If you want change, you have to ease them into change. And these are people like, and usually when they don't like something, because they don't like conflict, they will not address some negative, or I won't say negative, but one of the challenges with this type is usually these are the people who might have a tendency of speaking behind your back as well. Not because, they want to hurt you or harm you, because they cannot say something directly. They might, go behind, because they still have to get it off their chest. So at a workplace, this is where in the coffee, the place where people have coffee or people go for a smoke break, or this is where in the WhatsApp groups where the gossip happens.
Right.
They still have an opinion. So like every other group, they also have a lot of plus, and they have their, challenges as well. So
and I think they're an essential, as you'll soon see when you put all the pieces together. When we're going to talk about, Chef's going to talk about blue in just a sec, but basically there is no superior personality type. Each one has great pros and great cons. including the green, in case you're wondering. And I feel like they are almost like the gel that holds many teams together.
Yeah,
They're the ones who actually,
yeah.
keep the peace going, keep the status quo going. So everyone has their own special features, so to speak. But Chef,
these guys are very important as well. And yes, just one last thing, Kareem. And one more thing.
Go.
These guys are also one of a very strong factor is their guys are these types. Green is extremely indecisive. They cannot take for themselves. They cannot take a decision. Yeah, so they need help. So I mean 100%. To take a decision. Yeah. So moving on, I will swiftly jump to our last.
Yeah, let's go to blue. Yeah.
Yeah. So the last color we have is blue. Now, blue is also a very, very interesting type. And blue is quite similar to the red, minus the aggressiveness, the voice, like the loud tone and being pushy. Blue is also extremely task oriented. So now think about somebody in your group, in your friends at your workplace who is very methodical. Yeah, whose desk is very well organized. If you go to their homes, their stuff is very well prepared. Like, everything is organized very well. And when they go to travel or when they're planning for a trip or they're planning to buy a phone or a car or anything, these are the guys or girls or people who will read up extremely well. And they usually know better than the salesperson. And I'm sure people who are listening, they have 4 or 5 names that are popped up. But this is a general attribute. But these are generally people who also have very, very strong opinions, but they will not engage. These are also people who will not go ahead and engage. But if you go questioning to them, if you probe, they will come at you with facts. Like if you actually say, you know what, 3 years back, there was this game of cricket or football when this team won. And usually if a red is saying it, they might say give or take 2 to 3 years. Okay. If a yellow he might say 5 to 10 years. He's not all green might not say anything. A blue is the one who will say, you know what, it was in 1997 on this match versus this match where so these are the guys for details.
Day, yeah. And by the way, these things, guys, are all like little bit stereotypes. So you may know someone who's a blue who's not 100% like that, but maybe they're 90% like that. So
we're talking about the extreme. We're talking about the extreme. So I will get to that point of how to actually look at it and how not to actually use this classification system as well. So usually these are the guys who, any project or anything, even in life, anything they do, they are very well thought out and they also take decisions fast. But the only problem, and they are because they're not people, like they're not relationship focused. These also people, for example, these are people also when you speak to, like you're meeting a client or meeting somebody, or these are people who, when you speak to them, have no emotions on their face. Like they're superbly poker face. Like you can see what if the red is angry, you can see it on their face. Yeah. If a yellow is angry, happy, you can see it on their face. Green, maybe a bit neutral, but still. But a blue, you cannot even imagine what they're thinking.
Blue is super neutral, yeah. And unlike, even though they are similar to red in that they're task-oriented, and that's why they're so objective and quote-unquote emotionless for the task. It doesn't mean that they have no feelings. They're just very objective when it comes to the task. You'll also find that if there's a problem that needs to be solved, their specialty is analyzing and researching and over-researching and presenting you with a report on why something didn't work. But it would be up to someone like a red to be able to make a decision, so they can analyze everything and give you like the most amazing breakdown of everything that took place with no conclusion.
I think
just studies and research,
I think this is one of the biggest challenges usually blues faces, analysis and paralysis. So these are guys who will come up with the idea, but their own research or their own, let's take buying a, I'm going to take an example now. One of my very close friends and my colleague, he listens to the podcast, he will know. A very good example. Sorry, Ashwin, I'm going to throw you under the bus for this, but very good example is, before he's currently applying for his license, but before getting a license, he is gone on the internet. He spent hundreds of hours researching on which cars to get. Yeah. And he's gone to the detail of horsepower, to the engine power, to the fuel efficiency. And he was telling me all this. I'm like, bro, first of all, you don't have a license. Second, when it comes down to it, right, many of these things don't even matter when you actually. So what happens is, if the kind of type I am, like, I would tell him this, but if he is to go and buy the car himself, he'll be extremely confused which car to buy, because he has so much information. And if you remember, we were talking about this about in one of our episodes about perfection. So these are guys usually who aim for perfection as well. Blues,
Exactly.
generally
They would rather have something perfect than done, whereas the red wants something done, even if it's good, not perfect.
Yeah.
At least it's done. The blue would say, I'm not going to release this. We will not do something until it's absolutely perfect, which of course can create some form of. It definitely has its benefits. It means something will be very accurate, very quality, right? But it also means that it may never see the light of day ever. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I think we will quickly, we've done with all the 4 types. 2 points which, Kareem, I want to actually put across was, before we actually close this one, this is no way a tool to actually classify people and to, like, if you read this book and you understand, or you heard this, you're like, what, let's avoid greens altogether. Let's avoid, I'm a red, this is a green. The whole idea of this book is, for me personally, and me and Kareem, we were discussing this, and same goes for Kareem, we were discussing this should ideally be a tool to actually help you get along with people better, communicate with people better, okay? It should not be a book or a framework which should actually take you away from people. One. Second thing, Kareem, is nobody is one type. So research shows 80% of people have at least a mix of 2 colors. So basically, if it's me, I am a mix of 2 colors. I will not reveal it, but I'm a mix of 2 colors, where I have like 70% of one color and 30% of another color. And,
why don't you say it, Chef?
I'm a mix of red and blue, bro.
Red and blue, yeah.
I'm
red. I'm red and yellow.
Wow. So, bro, it's very interesting, and I think I knew about it, like we discussed this, but and the beauty of this is, right, after I understood this, I started working really well, for example, with particular colors. I started getting, like, there were particular kinds of conflicts I was having with some colors in my personal life, at work, constant. It was a task. But after this, there was suddenly like so much peace.
Because you understand what's going through their minds, and you're able to actually explain something the way they want to explain it.
And more than that, bro, more than me understanding them, I started because I understood myself, I started explaining where I am coming from. Like, for example, I would tell so-and-so people, what, this is my personality, this is where I see the world, and I understand how you see the world. Let's come midway. So now what happens is, it's even when the person is coming and communicating to me something, they will keep it short. And if for example, if I'm dealing with the blue, okay, very common example is, if I'm going to a blue, I will not go with even though I'm a red, sometimes I will think emotionally about something. But if I'm going to a blue, I will only go with facts and numbers. I will never go. And if I want to convince a yellow, I will not go with facts and numbers. I will go fully on with emotional stories.
Right.
At the same time, if I want to go convince something to a green, I will make sure it's not something like, if I want a green to actually start doing something they have not done, I will not immediately go and say, what, you should start doing this. Instead, I would say, what, how good it will actually
ease
feel.
into it.
And how it is going to positively affect relationships. Give them the good
100%.
picture.
And why it's going to matter to so many people, and it's going, and then he'll say, oh, well, I care about people, so I must do this then.
So I'm like, this concept should be, and the most interesting aspect about this book is, this person, Thomas Erikson, who's written this, is no way a psychologist or a expert in human behavioral psychology. And after this book came, and it's a very, very, very runaway success in Sweden, which this book was initially published in, if I'm not wrong. So a lot of people have called him out, saying, he's not an expert. But the funny thing is, even after I read this, after reading, I think even anybody who reads this book and goes in detail about this concept, you'll understand that, scientific or not, but in your day-to-day life,
makes sense. It's common sense.
So much sense. So we will leave it to you guys as well when you actually read, about this book. And we've just touched. As usual, we just want to introduce this concept. If you want to actually, you are having challenges with people, with team members, with family members, if you want to actually get things, smoothen things out, definitely check this book out. So I think with that, anything you want to add, Kareem, or that's all?
I think it's just like the main thing that people should take away is, you know, to arm yourself with this knowledge of the red, blue, yellow, and green, and really, you know, try and find ways to like actually attune your message, like Sheyaf was saying, attune your message to the person that you're speaking with. So there should always be a process of translation that's happening in your mind from, okay, you know, I'm a red, so this is what I want to do, but I'm actually going to pause. And because I'm speaking to someone who's a blue, I want to tell them something in a more structured fashion or in a bit more detail so that I can get them more engaged. Because ultimately, my goal is to not just speak the way I want to speak. My goal is to convey a message, have a productive conversation in that regard. And it's exactly like, you know, you speak English to someone who doesn't speak English. So it really is like that. So yeah, definitely, we both definitely endorse this book, and you should definitely check it out.
Cool, guys. So that's all for today's episode. As always, definitely let us know what you guys think about this episode. Subscribe to, you know, our channels on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts. On Apple Podcasts, make sure, you know, some of you has given us reviews. We appreciate that. Like, at least give us a 5 stars if you think we are, you know, we deserve that. And even on Spotify, even on Google Podcasts,
wherever you're listening.
Yeah, wherever you're listening to us, you know, and I can see, I will take, again, as usual, like I can see a lot of people from the US are listening. So thank you, guys. I can see a lot of traffic coming from there as well. So guys, make sure to let us know if there is any other topics as well. We will see you in the next episode, guys. Yalla, that's all from me and Kareem. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.